Let's start with Fred. Is Kentucky a rival, Fred? I know they want to be a rival, but from Tennessee's perspective, are they a rival?
Maybe for a group of guys who probably played and lost to them, it might be a rival. But in my opinion, overall, no. You have to win a lot more games in order to be a rival, in my opinion. And I'm not taking anything away from Kentucky, but I never lost to them, never thought we would lose to them. And as a Tennessee, as a VFL, I don't expect to ever lose to them. There's a few games in the SEC that you don't expect to lose, and those are South Carolina, Kentucky, Vanderbilt. And for them to be a rival, you'd have to catch up and beat us in more games, I guess.
Peyton Manning, what do you think of Kentucky being a rival for Tennessee?
They're like, that is total bullshit.
Okay, whoa, Peyton, easy. All
I
right.
agree. I agree, Peyton. Wholeheartedly, I agree.
They're like, that is total bullshit.
All right, Caleb, what do you think?
Guys, I'm going to say something that y'all aren't going to like, but it's just facts. And Fred, this doesn't apply to you because you actually did your job when you played at Tennessee and made sure Kentucky never threatened you. But Kentucky's beaten Tennessee more times since 2005 than Tennessee's beaten Florida. So Kentucky's more of a rivalry to Tennessee than Tennessee is to Florida at this point. More so, Vanderbilt has beaten Tennessee twice as many times as Florida has since the turn of the century. And so I get what we're saying here, but if we're going to throw all history out, which Tennessee and Kentucky is one of the oldest played games in the SEC, there's literally the battle for the beer barrel, which they don't allow anymore because kids can't drink or whatever. But
should be battle for the weed bag nowadays.
Yeah, there you go. But I also think.
By the way, let me take a second to remind you that Hemp House is the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards to ensure you only receive the best in CBD or Delta products. Go to Hemp House Chat with 2Ds. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com, and they've got the Big Orange Crunch right here that if you use the promo code HOOKED, you get 10% off of. I'm sorry, the battle for the bag of weed. Go ahead, Caleb.
Okay, but here's where I still do think it's somewhat a rivalry. I think it's the history of it because Tennessee and Kentucky and Tennessee and Vanderbilt are two of the four longest played games in the SEC. Georgia, Auburn, and Ole Miss, Mississippi State are the others. And on top of that, I think Tennessee and Kentucky have a not friendly, but like Kentucky's the basketball school, Tennessee's the football school. So there's a debate over can one get the better of the other in both sports one year? So I think Tennessee's taken a lot of pride in recent years that they've swept Kentucky in basketball a couple of times and beaten them in football. And I think there's a lot of pride when Tennessee does that. So I think that does make it a rivalry. And plus the last part is, Fred, another factor of a rivalry is you take pride in owning a school. And since you guys did own Kentucky when you play, yes, I get it. You always beat them, but you wanted to make sure you always beat them. You did not want a Kentucky loss on your resume as a player.
Absolutely not. You don't want a Kentucky, but I still don't think they're a rival. They don't even think they're a rival.
They want to be, but they know deep down they aren't.
Guys, they're closer to Tennessee than Tennessee is to Florida.
Fred, let me offer this too. I think that's crazy. But as a matter of fact, Peyton even says
they're like, that is total bullshit.
But let me ask you.
They have a better record against Tennessee than Peyton Manning had against Florida.
Let me ask you. You're going to get in trouble with Fred there.
Hey. They don't have a better record against Kentucky has lost plenty of games to us. So I'm just saying.
Well, I will say this, whether or not we view them individually as a rival, I don't, because I think Tennessee is one of the schools that's really weird. And there's not a lot in the country, but that have too many rivals. Like Alabama's a rival, Florida's a rival. Vanderbilt, if you ask people over 70, was a rival because that's why General Neyland was hired, is to beat Vanderbilt and on and on. But I will say this, because of the support that the programs get individually, because of the fact that the recruiting talent is way better in Tennessee than Kentucky, and it's not great in Tennessee, but in Kentucky it's horrible. As far as numbers of guys, and then you can go into Atlanta and recruit there. it should never be a rival. Whether or not it is, we can argue that, but it should never be a rival, Fred.
Well, let me say this then. When it comes to Kentucky, are we doing a check or kneeling?
Oh,
Are we doing a special uniform?
They did the black jerseys for Kentucky last year.
Eh,
I mean, they
that was
did.
more for us than for them. That was more to show that we could do a black jersey because it was almost Halloween. It had nothing to do with Kentucky.
All right, so
Nothing.
what's closer, guys? I got a question for both y'all. Is Tennessee closer to Kentucky in basketball, or is Kentucky closer to Tennessee's level in football all time?
Tennessee closer to Kentucky in basketball than it is to football.
I agree because I agree because John Calipari doesn't win championships. He fields NBA players, and Rick Barnes makes the tournament. So we're talking about two teams that have the ability to win a championship based off making the postseason. And Kentucky's football program has never knocked on the door to the college football playoff, and Tennessee has. So
they haven't even scratched the surface of getting to an SEC championship game.
Guys, they claim a
modern day.
They claimed the 1950 national title, even though Tennessee beat them that year.
Yeah, you want to go back to 1950, Fred? Caleb loves to do that.
I mean, are any of those people still alive? I'm just saying.
I mean,
there's nobody here for them to even claim.
Gotta be a couple 90
We're going to celebrate the 1950 national championship team in Kentucky.
Oh, they actually, funny enough, they decided to declare it in 2018. So 68 years later, they're like, hey, let's go back and claim this as a national title. I'm just pointing out. I'm just, by the way, again, Fred, I don't know if you know, Dave and I go back and forth on this because I agree Tennessee recruiting is better, but I'm sorry. I think I can get you to back me up on this. I've been saying for 20 years, Nashville recruiting is overrated. And I can say that because you played on the 98 team and not one player from Nashville was a major contributor on that 98 team.
I would say this, though. In the last few years, Nashville recruiting has been pretty good. They put out a lot of NFL football players in the last few years out of Nashville. You go from Corn Elder to there's a few other guys that are from that area that have played some pretty good football. A lot of those guys have bypassed Tennessee and gone other places, whether it be Alabama, Ole Miss, you name it. So there's some good talent in Nashville.
Yeah, and
one of them in particular is a few guys from Cane Ridge High School. They are all starting, and they started as freshmen. And they're pretty good. And most of those guys may see a down or two in the NFL. So I won't say that about Nashville recruiting now. Back then, maybe, but now, John Henderson was from Nashville, and he's one of the greatest players to ever play at Tennessee.
He was a unicorn when he came out. There weren't a lot of Nashville kids like that.
I don't know if I can say that. I know some guys who played at Georgia that were from Nashville, guys from South Carolina that played at South Carolina from Nashville. There's a few guys that played from Nashville that were pretty good football players.
Well, and regardless of the Nashville debate, the state that I was in charge of when I covered recruiting for ESPN, one of them was Kentucky, and it was just, I can tell you statistically by far the bottom of the barrel. West Virginia was in my territory. They were second worst. But yeah, it wasn't even close. If Kentucky
whole country,
I'm willing to bet you have more talent in Nashville than you do in the entire state of Kentucky.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Portions of the program brought to you by, I don't know, this guy that does some Allstate. It's Fred White. Fred, how do people get in touch with you if they want to be in good hands?
They can give us a phone call at 770-381-0367, or they can look us up on any platform, the social media platform that is at Fred White Allstate, as well as Google us, FredWhiteAllstate.com or Allstate and Fred White. Either way it goes, you'll find me here, and we'll be happy to help you out.
So our next Celebrate 98 series, and by the way, you can buy the book. It's right below. If you would like a copy of it, you can get the soft cover, hardcover, or you can get a copy that's been signed Fred White will take care of you for that as well. So it's right below. So feel free to click on that, order away, and we'll get it in the mail to you. I hope you appreciate it. It's brought to you by Tennessee Cider Company, the original hard cider of the Smoky Mountains. Use the promo code HAT to receive some free swag with your cider order, available most anywhere in the U.S. tncidercompany.com. tncidercompany.com. Don't forget the promo code HAT. If Jamal Lewis, because I still believe, especially in your day in the 90s, that if you have an ACL injury, you're probably not quite as good ever as you were before the injury. Now, I know he still ran like the 4.32 40, but if he never suffers an injury, which is saying a lot, I mean, I guess what I'm asking in a roundabout way is how close are we to talking about Jamal Lewis being considered one of the best tailbacks of all time? Because he's the next guy we're going to talk to on Celebrate 98. I think he's kind of on that second level and pretty close to the first level. What do you think?
If Jamal Lewis doesn't get hurt against Auburn in 1998, I'm willing to bet he wins the Heisman that year.
Wow.
He was just starting to hit he was hitting it running. You look at his stats up until that year, up until that game. And even in that game, the first time he touched the ball, he went 70 yards for a touchdown. He got hurt in the first quarter. He didn't make it to halftime. If you imagine, he came back in the game trying to go and had a 12-yard run and realized, man, something's really not right. I mean, 2 carries, 80-something yards. He may have had 4 or 5 carries in that game, but I'm just sitting here telling you, we knew we were about to see something very special with Jamal Lewis. And going down the stretch after playing against the Florida team and beating them, I don't know if there was any other team that could stop our running game. And it showed because we ran the ball very well with Travis and Travis. If Travis and Travis can go for 100 yards against Georgia, just imagine what Jamal Lewis would have done. I'm just being honest. I've seen Jamal Lewis winning the Heisman Trophy if he doesn't get hurt.
Wow, it's pretty strong. Caleb, anything else?
Yeah. Fred, I owe you an apology because last year I used to take offense to the idea as a Grizzly fan that people thought Trae Young was better than Ja Morant, but I am totally off the Ja Morant bandwagon this NBA season, and I think your Hawks have the better point guard. I'd take Trae Young over Ja Morant any day of the week. I'm done with Ja. I'm done with him.
Well, we shall see what this season looks like for Ja.
Yeah, Ja is always good for a shot or two, and I don't mean basketball. Fred,
he is Malibu's most wanted, if there ever was one. The fake gangster.
You have a fantastic day, Fred. Again, Google him, Fred White, Allstate. He'll take care of you anywhere in the Georgia area. We appreciate you, and I'll talk to you on Saturday.
I will talk to you guys on Saturday. Hey, let me say this real quick.
Yes, sir.
We didn't give a score prediction. We didn't give a who will win and who lose.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go for it.
Of course, I'm going to pick Tennessee to beat Kentucky. Absolutely going to pick Tennessee to beat Kentucky. That'd be asinine to think otherwise. But score prediction. I think it's going to be who has the ball for at least 29 minutes. And I think Joe gets it done this week. I like to see our receivers step it up. Hit our tight ends. I would love to see my boy James Warren there. Not James Warren. James Warren's son, Jacob. Yes. I'd like to see him get a couple touchdowns. If our tight ends have 2 touchdowns, if my tight ends have at least 2 touchdowns, whether it be Warren or our other tight end, I'm going to go with Tennessee scoring about 41 points and Kentucky 27.
Okay.
Fred's with me. He's taking the over because I'm taking the over too in this one. That's where all my money's on. I think it goes over 51 total.
Mm-hmm.
I can jive with that. Fred, have a blessed day. I certainly appreciate your time and enjoy the game. And I know you to go to a lot of the home games, so it might be a chance for you to relax just a little bit on the weekend. So I hope you get to take in some football and have a great time.
I'm going to take it in with my little cousins that play middle school football at the moment and teach them some real football.
Oh, okay.
Hey, man, just send me those kids' numbers so I can tell them just not to play you in Madden.
Oh no, they don't want to do that. They learned that. They've learned their lesson on that one already.
Yeah, I mean, Fred is the only person I played in Madden that started talking about why he would run different coverages. I'm not talking about easy cover 1, cover 2. I'm talking about how he would start running cover 6 against me because I was doing such and such. I'm like, I am out of my league. Plus, I think his fingers were faster and he had better hand-eye coordination. It was like, it was not even close. Thank you, Fred.
Well, one of the things people don't understand about playing a video game, and this is, most people just play the game. You do realize they're not really codes, but if I see your offensive lineman move forward on the snap, I know it's run. It's a video game. They can't stop at 5 yards and come back, or 3 yards and come back. If it's a run play, you know it's a run play. So you make all your guys come down on the run. If they step back, you push your guys back to make sure you know now your DBs and your linemen are in pass rush mode. I mean, it makes the game simple and easier for you. If your running back's running to the right, you push all your linemen to the right as soon as the ball snaps.
We're going to continue this conversation because I would love to be able to beat my son one time. I beat him once. I beat him once in NBA 2K right before he left to go to Massachusetts, and it was the greatest day of my life. And he just put his controller down and walked away.
You just got to outsmart the game, man. That's all you're doing.
It was a Klay Thompson 8 feet behind the 3-point line, bank for 3 when I was down 2 because I was like, this is my best shot to win it. So that was it. Thank you, Fred. I appreciate you, brother.
All right, you guys have a good one.